In this video, we're going to take a look at the neighborhood of West Cambridge in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Stay tuned. Hello, it's Charles Cherney, and I'd like to take you on a tour today of West Cambridge and help you better understand this named neighborhood of the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts. So, as we see here on the map, there is Cambridge, Massachusetts. You can see this red line describing the city, and the grayed out area on the map is Cambridge. So right here in the center is Harvard Square. And as you see, Cambridge is in the shape somewhat of a bow tie, and Harvard Square is the knot. And there are 13 named neighborhoods that make up Cambridge. Perhaps the most famous of them is West Cambridge, which is highlighted here on the map. I'm kind of moving in on it, and you can see it's bordered by Concord Avenue, JFK, the Charles River, Fresh Pond Parkway cuts through this portion of it. But so Fresh Pond, Mount Auburn Cemetery, the Charles River. You see, this is the neighborhood which we know as West Cambridge. It's a relatively low density neighborhood with some 18,000 residents. And it's the neighborhood most people think of when they think of Cambridge. And it's a wonderful neighborhood we're going to learn more about today. So the zip code for West Cambridge is 02138. And here we're looking at the zip code on the map for 02138. It includes other neighborhoods in part beyond West Cambridge, but all of West Cambridge, as we see here on the map, is in the 02138 zip code. Some call it the most opinionated zip code in the United States. Here in Cambridge, it's well known, and some people think of it as a prestigious zip code to have because it means either you're in West Cambridge or one of the neighboring neighborhoods bordering on it where there's lovely residential real estate for sale. So I wanted to start by sharing Mount Auburn Cemetery. So within West Cambridge, bordering on the edge to the furthest point west for West Cambridge is the Mount Auburn Cemetery, which you see here, this large green space on the map. And found within it is the Washington Tower. Show the tower. Here we go. There it is. And if you get to the top, you get a great view of the Boston skyline, as you see here in the distance when on top of the tower in Mount Auburn Cemetery. And the cemetery is beautiful all year long. Here's a photo of it in January, another one in February, March. And it's interesting to think about it as a place, a destination to go to visit, but it is because it has so many beautiful plants and trees. Flowering dogwoods, crabapples, lilacs, azaleas are just some of what's on display. And, you know, depending on what time of year you visit, it's beautiful in different ways at different times. Here's Willow Pond in July. And I'm making this video in September. It's the second day of the fall season as I record this. And, you know, there's some beautiful wildflower meadows to be discovered. So again, it's a garden cemetery. And as these images make clear, it's a really rather special place. Now, adjacent to the cemetery, let me just pull out a little. Here's the cemetery entrance off Mount Auburn Street, is one of the neighborhoods with its own name within West Cambridge, which is Coolidge Hill. And it's just this side of Coolidge Avenue you see on the screen. And Coolidge Hill as a named neighborhood is home to the Shady Hill School, pre-K through 8, and the Buckingham, Brown, and Nichols Upper School, grades 9 through 12. These are two very prestigious independent schools in Cambridge. Shady Hill School is found just on one campus. Here's some pictures of it on the screen. And the BB&N Upper School has 2 additional campuses in West Cambridge for the lower school and middle school. And Shady Hill is just a wonderful school. It's got a diverse student body. Here's some information on the screen. They've got 541 students from 40 communities. Gosh, faculty 91% with advanced degrees, an 8-to-1 student-teacher ratio. It's diverse, and it's pre-K through 8. I mean, anyone who gets to go here is very lucky. It's a very special school with a very low acceptance rate and just a fantastic campus in the Coolidge Hill neighborhood. And then, gosh, BB&N, Buckingham, Brown and Nichols, the upper school found in this neighborhood next to Shady Hill School for grades 9 through 12, is a fantastic college prep school. It reminds me quite a bit of the prep school I attended in the Detroit area, Detroit Country Day School, which, like BB&N, is a pre-K through 12 school with multiple campuses, you know, with a really talented student body, a lot of college prep intensity at this school, and, wonderful programs and athletics and after-school activities and extracurriculars and in-person learning with amazing student-teacher ratios and fantastic faculty. I mean, it's everything you would expect from an amazing New England day school. So here's Shady Hill and here's BB&N on the map. And so this neighborhood that these schools are located in, Coolidge Hill, really consists of just a couple of meandering, winding streets. So we've got Coolidge Hill Road. I mean, there's just a handful of streets, and they are wonderful. Very rarely do houses come up for sale here. Here I'm just sharing some photos I've taken over the years of some of the homes that are found in Coolidge Hill to give you a sense of it. Classic New England, some brick homes, some wood frame. Wow, look at that one. Just beautiful. So it's an eclectic mix of single families on these meandering streets, just a short walk to either Shady Hill School or BB&N Upper School. And it's a very distinctive Cambridge neighborhood. There's really nothing quite like it, quite frankly. It's very special. I guess the closest thing to it, both geographically speaking and in terms of its style, as a neighborhood, is the Larchwood neighborhood. So if I just show you again, here's the Coolidge Hill neighborhood east of the cemetery, between the Charles River and the Mount Auburn Cemetery. We were just looking at Coolidge Hill, the neighborhood, and the schools there. And then Larchwood is found here north of the cemetery between Fresh Pond Parkway, Aberdeen Avenue, Huron Avenue, and Brattle Street. So it's just this little neighborhood. And again, it's defined by meandering streets. You've got Larchwood Drive, Meadow Way, Fresh Pond Lane, and Fresh Pond Parkway. These are the streets that there's Oldie Road, a circle. So Larch Road, Larchwood Drive, Fresh Pond Lane, Meadow Way. That's it for this lovely neighborhood known as Larchwood. And I've taken some photos here to show you some of the homes in Larchwood. It's interesting, we don't have too many brick homes in all of Cambridge. The handful that we do find in the single family category are either in Coolidge Hill or this neighborhood, Larchwood. Just some beautiful homes. Look at this stately, beautiful home and the larches. Beautiful. I think a lot of people have an imaginary picture in their mind of New England and Cambridge, and I can imagine that many people envision homes that look just like this. It's so very, very special. I think most all of us would be tickled pink to visit uh, any of these homes in the Larchwood neighborhood. Gives you a good sense. Look at the growth on that entrance. It's wonderful. Classic New England. Wonderful. So there you have a pretty good sense of the larches. Here's one that I listed and sold in 2021 on Fresh Pond Parkway in the Larchwood neighborhood. What a beautiful home, and what a privilege to bring this to market early in 2021. Generated multiple offers and a lot of interest, and I think you can see why from looking at the photos. Deep, beautiful backyard with a family room with picture windows overlooking it, garage parking, just a really nice home. And if you lived in this home, you could walk to Shady Hill School or BB&N Upper School campus. Larchwood is just a wonderful neighborhood. Now, not far from the Larchwood neighborhood is Fresh Pond, another attraction in West Cambridge. So West Cambridge, we looked at Coolidge Hill, we looked at the Larchwood neighborhood, and now I just want to share with you Fresh Pond. I love Fresh Pond. It's a Fresh Pond reservation. And so there's this green space around the pond itself. And what's really wonderful about the pond is that there's a 2.25 mile pathway that surrounds the pond. And I love to walk around the pond. Many people love to jog or ride their bike around the pond, or like me, walk it. And many people do so with their dog, since you're allowed to have your dog off leash as a Cambridge resident visiting Fresh Pond, which is really rather nice. Kingsley Park here on the map is a green space that's quite popular with dog owners, as they can bring their dogs here to frolic, and that's rather nice. And there is a golf course, 9 holes, found on the edge of Fresh Pond. It's a public course. There's also a little Fresh Pond dog beach, which is, again, popular with dog owners who like to bring their dog for a frolic in the water. It's just really rather nice. Let me just share with you some photos of Fresh Pond. The nature here, the wildflowers and the trees are extra special. Here's a view of the pathway that's very popular with people walking. The pond itself, as you can see, is quite beautiful. Here's a parking area sunset view that I'm very familiar with. It's just a nice place to decompress at the end of a day. There's a picture of one of the holes on the golf course you can see from the pond. Obviously, in the fall season, the fall colors are very lovely, as you can see. Golf course as your neighbor walking around the pond is rather nice. I mean, the natural beauty, as you see, is something special. The flowers. There's a few homes, lucky those who live near the pond and have a view towards the pond. Some ducks. Cambridge Public Water Facility, of course, is found at Fresh Pond as well. Here's the course off season. That's a nice one to end on, since it's such a beautiful, beautiful place. I've written an essay on my website, Cambridge Real Estate, My Fresh Pond, and I've recorded a video there to share more with you about it. There I am walking around the pond, which I love to do on a regular basis. I see people all the time I know when I'm walking around the pond. Now, also very famous in West Cambridge, as far as residential real estate goes, is Brattle Street. You can see it marked here on the screen. And Brattle Street starts at the intersection of Brattle and Mount Auburn. So if I dial in a little bit on it, you can see it starts here. And it crosses over Fresh Pond, travels through the heart of West Cambridge, and ends up in Harvard Square. So I guess you could say, if you will, that Brattle Street starts in Harvard Square here and finds its way out into the neighborhood. And so the Brattle Street neighborhood, which you see here on the screen, is, wow, a beautiful neighborhood with many larger, lovely single-family residences. Brattle Street was known at the time before the American Revolution as Tory Row, and it was home to many of the loyalists who supported the crown. Of course, over time that changed as the American Revolution came about, and these homes became mansions belonging to many of the original settlers of the area. And even to this day, Brattle Street is home to many wonderful, well-maintained, larger single-family homes. Here's a picture of some brick sidewalk on Brattle Street, and you can see that some of the homes have, as this one does, higher privacy walls or fences. That's the full moon. I took that photo from the sunroof of my car on a summer night. Some of the homes have beautiful gardens that extend even to the edge of the sidewalk, as you can see here. Just some lovely homes along the street. Some statue tree, and then you can see that some of the homes enjoy some beautiful private gardens with trees and country-like views. Here's a house off Brattle on Willard Street that I am the listing agent for. It's pending as I make this video in September 2021. Here's a picture of the front facade of this wonderful historic home that the American poet and writer Archibald MacLeish called home in the 1950s. Very special front foyer with a double Dutch door and expansive living room, multiple fireplaces, picture window onto the back garden, very spacious dining room, bigger kitchen. There's that study MacLeish used with a fireplace. There's some bookcases in the study. Just a wonderful home. You can see the beautiful back garden. Wine cellar, love that. So this beautiful home, in addition to having the luxury of being on the doorstep of Harvard Square, is enjoying some green space as well. And then also on Brattle Street is the Longfellow House, Washington's headquarters during the time of the American Revolution. And here's a view of it in their video on their welcome film on the Longfellow House website. Let's just take a peek. You can see Memorial Drive out there on the edge of the river.
Longfellow House, Washington's headquarters National Historic Site, is a small unit of the National Park Service. It is a 260-year-old home that has seen all of American history. It's been the headquarters of George Washington when he was learning how to be a leader, and the family home of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Not only is this a place where George Washington came and really created the Continental Army, the physical tool with which the revolution was executed, but then 60 years after Washington, Longfellow comes here, and it's within these walls where he develops these epic poems that sort of become an American mythology and start to point to a real American culture.
The opportunity.
Wow, so that's a great video. That's just a taste. You can watch the whole thing on their website. And it's a museum, and it's a place for special events, and it's got beautiful grounds, and I can't recommend it highly enough. The Longfellow House on Brattle Street is extra special. And the Longfellow Park that sits in front of Longfellow House extends all the way to Mount Auburn Street, and beyond it is Memorial Drive, parallel to Mount Auburn and pictured here. And of course, Memorial Drive in West Cambridge runs along the Charles River. It's extra special, and here you get a good view of people sitting on a bench on the Charles River watching the passing parade of boats at the head of the Charles, an annual event in the city of Cambridge that brings rowers from around the world every October. And for that matter, there are people rowing on the river each and every day. And in addition, there are people who are just out enjoying the river a kayak or a paddle boat, or as this person is, a single scull. So there's all sorts of activity on the water in West Cambridge, on the Charles. It's extra special. Can't say enough good things about it. Here's some paddle boats, kayakers. And then, of course, there's some real estate with wonderful views of the Charles River in West Cambridge. This is a picture from 1010 Memorial Drive, one of the buildings in West Cambridge along the Charles River. And so as we look at the map, here's Memorial Drive and here's Mount Auburn Street. So Mount Auburn Street starts at Fresh Pond Parkway, and it finds its way down into Harvard Square, and beyond Harvard Square, it heads out to mid-Cambridge. So let's just take a peek at some of the signature landmarks in West Cambridge on Mount Auburn Street near the Charles River. So we can start with the Mount Auburn Hospital. And actually, my wife and I, our daughter was born here many years ago now. So it's a very special place to me. It's obviously a primary hospital, one of two in the city of Cambridge, and it's right there on the river. And right next to it is 1010 Memorial Drive. I showed you that image. There it is again of the view from 1010 Memorial, and here's the building. It's a co-op. It dates from the 1960s. It's a cooperative tower elevator building, and I have had the good fortune to list in this building, and I have a video here on my website, charlescherney.com, where you can learn more about the building, and I have information on what's for sale, pending, and recently sold in this building on my website, so you can be completely up to speed on what your options are and what's recently sold. But it's a great building with Charles River views. And just up the river and along Mount Auburn from it is another elevator building, 221 Mount Auburn, which you can see here on the screen. Taking this picture of it on a fall day, and you can see it here on the right. It's right on the river, beautiful views. And once again, I have on my website a video about the building and information as well on recent sales. So you can learn what's available here, what's sold, what's pending. And it's a concierge elevator building with great views of the river. It's just a great building. I've been involved with sales in this building for the last 20 plus years. I know it well, and I'd be happy to share with you more information. Further up Mount Auburn at the corner of Willard and Mount Auburn is the Cambridge Skating Club, pictured here. It's really a storybook club. My gosh, it's like right out of a movie when you're going by on a winter's day and people are ice skating, as you see here. And then in the warmer months, it becomes the Cambridge Tennis Club. And the building, which is 100 years old, has been a historic tennis club since the 1950s with clay courts. And again, there's something timeless about it as either a skating club or a tennis club, with this great old clubhouse that you see here in the background in this photo. It's just very special. As you get closer to Harvard Square, you find your way to Darwin's on Mount Auburn Street. And back in 2018, I made this video with Stephen Darwin as the founder of Darwin's, talking a bit about the history. So let's just pick up a little bit of it as he talks about opening the Darwin's, the first Darwin's on Mount Auburn Street in West Cambridge, on the doorstep of Harvard Square back in the early 1990s. He's since expanded and has additional Darwin's in the city, but let's just take a listen to what he has to say about opening the first Darwin's in this video found at cambridgestories.com. Let's take a look.
And at the time, by the Mount Auburn Hospital, that whole Brattle Street, Torrey Row sort of district, there was this little market down the road that nobody would ever go into because it was just so run down. And we were constantly like, well, if somebody would just take over that store and do something with it, and so we could like get a bulb of garlic or a can of anchovies or something, it would be so much more convenient for the neighborhood. And that's how that whole brainchild sort of came alive. Coffee is like wine. It has its agriculture, and it varies from season to season and lot to lot. So to actually blend coffee that tastes the same all the time is quite a trick. And so what most people don't understand is like, this whole fad that's going on with, coffee being roasted on premise, and it's like it's super fresh and everything. It's like the secret in the industry is nobody wants to be drinking fresh coffee. Coffee has to have time to mature and has to have time to off-gas. The best time to really drink coffee is about a week after it was roasted.
So wonderful to meet Stephen and to make this video featuring him and to learn about the history of Darwin's, this fantastic cafe. And the original is on Mount Auburn Street in West Cambridge, and not to be missed. So I hope you get a sense of it from just watching that. Beyond Darwin's is yet another full-service concierge elevator building at 130 Mount Auburn, essentially across the street from the post office and set back from the street. There's a picture of the entrance where there's a brick path that winds its way back to the building found here. And so this is a building. I've got a video here on charlescherney.com all about it, and then information on what's available and properties recently sold in this association. So it's more real estate in the heart of West Cambridge. And then as you get into the heart of Harvard Square, you could think of Harvard Square, if you will, as part of West Cambridge. I mean, there is a true distinctive identity that makes Harvard Square a place unto itself, but you could place it on the map in West Cambridge. And when you get into the heart of Harvard Square, Mount Auburn Street takes you to 975 Memorial Drive, another residential building on the Charles River. And it's in the same complex that includes the Charles Hotel. And so this building with some 70 plus units went up in 1985. Here's the hotel, which recently in 2021 got some lobby updates, as you see here. Beautiful luxury hotel on the doorstep of Harvard Square off Mount Auburn Street, as is 975 Memorial Drive, with the entrance for people coming into the building on the backside of the building that puts it closer to the Charles Hotel complex and Charles Square, if you will, that sits in front of it. So these are aspects and elements of West Cambridge as residential living goes. And then here's the website for Harvard Square, Harvard Bookstore. I love that store. I think I've spent more time in that bookstore than any bookstore in the world in my life. It's hard to go by it and not go in. I'm glad to support it. I'm glad it's still there. There's the Honk Festival happening in Harvard Square. You can see that looks like Eliot House Tower, where I lived as a Harvard student in that picture. It's just, there's so much that makes up Harvard Square. Here's the Harvard Kennedy School website. They're on JFK Street, that defines, if you will, one edge of West Cambridge as a named neighborhood. And as it happens, there I am. I'm in my office in Compass at 1100 Mass Ave in Harvard Square. So I'm in Harvard Square daily as a part of my work. And I love the luxury of working there and meeting people and having a chance to get to know it so well from daily interactions with the urban fabric that make up the square. So let's go back here to the map of West Cambridge. So again, to review, we took a look at this neighborhood called Coolidge Hill, and then I shared with you the Larches, and then we looked at the Brattle Street neighborhood. And one neighborhood that I did not include that I well could have is the neighborhood of Huron Village, defined by Huron Avenue. There's a number of shops, and one of them is Formaggio Kitchen, which just relocated to the former Fresh Pond Market, a beloved institution, old school style grocery that closed right before the pandemic and now has become the new home of Formaggio, which used to be further down Huron Avenue and is now moved to the former Fresh Pond Market. And across the street from it is Cambridge Trust Bank, and there's a few shops and services found along Huron Avenue in Huron Village. And I'm going to type Huron Village in here. So if I go to Formaggio, let's see. It's trying to give me directions to my home. I just wanted you to see where Huron Village is. And it's found here from Fresh Pond. You can see it travels through to Concord Avenue. So this neighborhood on the map, here we are, there's Huron Avenue, is a delightful residential neighborhood with a number of pleasant side streets and beautiful homes found there on them. And I've had the good fortune of living in this neighborhood on Lexington Avenue for a number of years and selling residential real estate, both as a buyer's agent and a listing agent since 1999. So I know it very well. It's a great neighborhood and very popular with families who are drawn to the proximity to BB&N School and to Shady Hill School. You can see here on the map, there's a playground and the Tobin School, which is a public school that is now being rebuilt. And it's a multi-year, multi-million-dollar project. Vassal Lane Upper School and the Tobin Elementary School are found here. Upper School in Cambridge school speak is a middle school. So there'll be a beautiful new school campus here eventually. It's just breaking ground as I make this in 2021. And then there's a nice playground found adjacent to the school grounds. So there's a lot to like. Here's High Rise. This is a wonderful cafe, and I've made another video about Renee, the founder of High Rise, that's found on CambridgeStories.com. And I love going in here. I'm a regular, and gosh, it's trying to get me there from my home. I wish I was on my way there right now. High Rise is just fantastic as a cafe for fresh bread, pastries, good coffee. There's lots to love about the High Rise Cafe on Concord Avenue in West Cambridge. So, all right. So yeah, so we learned about this neighborhood, Coolidge Hill, this one here, Larchwood. I've just talked a little bit about Huron Village. The heart of West Cambridge is on Brattle Street, where we spend some time, and everything ends here on the edge of the neighborhood of West Cambridge at Harvard Square and Harvard Yard and Harvard University and Harvard T Station. And you're abutting the Charles River along Memorial Drive and Mount Auburn Street and Fresh Pond and the Mount Auburn Cemetery. So there you have it. That's sort of an overview of West Cambridge. My name is Charles Cherney. I'm a top residential real estate agent with a deep knowledge of West Cambridge and the other named neighborhoods of the city of Cambridge, as well as neighboring Somerville. And I welcome the opportunity to connect with you by text, telephone, or email, or in person, as you give thought to West Cambridge or the other neighborhoods of Cambridge or neighboring Somerville. Reach out at any time, and I welcome the opportunity to share more information with you about your home, the market, and the community, and to be of service to you in buying the right home or selling for the best price. Take care.